Okay, so we are live with our director of traditional worship, Jim Sellers, and his wife, Lisa. And thanks for everyone for tuning in for this. This will be the last part of our series. And thank you guys for being here with me. And the world is watching, so it's all yours.
Well, actually, Sean, you're here with us, but anyway, we're glad to have you and everyone out there. And I'm sure you're asking, why are they on camera? Well, we ran out of preachers for one thing, but so I asked, why us? And the short answer was, I'm the most seasoned staff member, which is a nice way of saying I'm the old one, and I've been around the longest. I'm finishing up my 17th year as director at Blaine Memorial. So I've seen a lot of changes over the years. It's been great, but there's always more we can do, and that's what this Be Renewed campaign is about. But we had JT and Kate, they represented the 20-somethings. Then we had Isaac and Kate, they represented the 30-somethings. Will and Sally represented the 40-somethings. And Lisa and I represent everything above that. Okay? We won't give our ages away, but we're the seniors as far as that concerns. So we have a little different maybe perspective on things because we're empty nesters.
Yes, we are.
Finally. We have two sons who are chronologically grown. One is 31, lives in Denver, Colorado, and the other is 27.
Yes.
And lives in Garden City, right here in Garden City. So it's me and Lisa and our grand dog Bruce. So we've got a little different household than the other pastors have, and little different life experiences. And so we come at it a little different as far as giving and being renewed, and you know what that means as far as our involvement with the church. And most people, for 4 months last year, to the beginning of 2019, I served as the interim church administrator, which put me on the other side of the street, literally, a little different venue. And so I got to see things that I normally don't see from a worship standpoint, and what all the church does, and what all it takes to run a church, and what it means to be the church. And most members don't really have a clue. I've always laughed, and the choir is very familiar with me saying that when people come into worship on Sunday mornings, the poof fairy has just done everything. Everything's just done, and people don't take into account what it takes to get it done, how many people it takes, and the money that it takes. And so I think that's important to really look behind the scenes and see what all goes on and how everyone plays a part in that. But we have more years behind us than we have in front of us, which is sad to think, but I hope there are good years to come. But when you're in our position, empty nesters, or maybe you're retired, we're looking forward to that. At least Lisa is. I've always said that I will work until noon on the day of my funeral, and then I'll have to play for it. So I don't know that I will ever retire, and I don't know that I want to, because I love what I do. But when you are at this stage in your life, you've got some things. Maybe you've paid off those college tuitions, all those years and years and years and years of paying college tuition. That's behind you. Maybe you've finally gotten rid of a car payment. Perhaps you've gotten rid of a mortgage. You know, these things, these milestones in your life have passed. And so you can look at what used to go to these necessities, and you were able to make it work. So maybe you still have that money, and you could give a little more to the church. I remember my mother, when she retired, she was a widow and had to work until her retirement. And she said a friend of hers asked her, "How are you going to live on a fixed income?" And she said, "I've always lived on a fixed income. You know, it's just different. Money that went to one thing at a certain age can now go somewhere else. And I think that's important to look at as far as maybe you've got some disposable income that was going to a necessity. And so you paid off your car last year. Maybe a percentage of that payment that you made every month could now go to the church for a year, or maybe the whole payment, you know, and that would really step up your giving. So I think it's important to try to get creative with how you give to the church. And remember that it's just not financial that you can give, it's also your time and your talents also. If you're in a position with us, we don't know why we eat so many groceries, but with the kids gone, we should have to buy less groceries. Seems like we buy more, but we don't have quite as many TV cables in the house, those type things. So there are some expenses that have gone away that we were able to make those payments when we had them. So we still should be able to use that money some way. And I think giving it to the church is perhaps a wonderful way to do that and to step up your giving. And I know that the theme of this campaign is Be Renewed, and in the past weeks, the pastors and their significant others have talked about how they're renewed. And I know this is a loaded question for Lisa because I know the answer, but how do you find renewal?
Well, I think you already know. I have to be outside, so on the weekends, I like to go to the beach. When I come home from work, I like to take the dog down the stairs and just be outside and just kind of reflect on what has happened the whole day, and it just revives me. If it's cold, I still go outside, but I sure do like warmer weather, I will say that. And Jim is always open to go to the beach, and I can tell you sometimes he'd rather not do that, but during the summer, he is my trooper. He goes along with me. So
well, someone has to carry the house with them when she goes.
That's
to the
right.
beach.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy that. But I'm pretty much a couch potato, and she will tell you that. So I like to get lost in television and just mindless stuff. But I have a unique position that I'm the only staff member whose office is in the sanctuary. So I'm the only staff member who's in a building by themselves. And that can be very good, and sometimes it's not so much. But I have found that sometimes when things are stressful, I can just walk into the sanctuary, and I realize it's called a sanctuary for a reason. It becomes that, and I'm the only one there. And most people never get to experience that, of standing or sitting in the sanctuary all by yourself, no noise, no one to distract you, nothing going on, and just center yourself and catch your breath and be renewed and be motivated. And that's a luxury I have. And if I wish all of you could experience that. And if you ever want to drop by one day, I'll let you in and let you go in and do that. But it's quite a unique position to be in, and I'm very blessed to be able to do that. And Sean, I know there have been times that you've been able to be in the sanctuary doing some work, but it is different than on a Sunday morning. And so I think that's very special, and that's how we find our renewal. But another thing I found that at this stage in our life, we have a little bit more free time, even though we both work. Some of the things with not having to take kids to practices and this, that, and that type of things, some of those time obligations are gone. So we have more time, and so we can do things for ourselves, and we can give more time to the church. I can't really give more time to the church because that's what I do. But Lisa, in these past few years, has gotten involved. She's joined the choir, and I think that was so she could see me a little more.
Oh, it was?
It was. Or see what I was up to. I now get chastised when we get home because I use a lot of her quotes with the choir, and they think she's my spy, but she is not. She's actually on their side. I get chastised when we get home, but with a little bit more time, there are some things that normally we might have in past years paid for, say loan service every week or that type of thing, and I can now have time to do it myself. So there's some savings there. Not trying to put loan services out of business, but Trash garbage service, we got rid of that. We take garbage to, as we say, we go to the dump. And I find that a thrilling experience, which she finds very unique. Quite odd that I love to go to the dump, and take the trash. There's a savings there. So there are things that having the time to do means we don't have to pay for them, and so that money is available. And there's a way to step up and give more to the church by some of those things that we do around the house. I know it's often said if you could just give up a coffee, if you're into expensive coffees, a coffee a day or a coffee a week, or maybe it's a takeout order a week. And it's amazing how little things can add up and make a difference. And I think that's important. And I would challenge people to do that, to find something and just give it up for a year and put that money aside. And I would encourage you that when you give it up, to actually put the money aside, not say, okay, I'm not spending this, and at the end of the month, I'll give it to the church. You may remember the little cardboard boxes, the banks that we had. We started out during Lent. Of course, that got interrupted by the COVID pandemic. But having that physical reminder of something to put money in reminded you to save and to give and to support the church. And I learned that again from my mother. I have this, in fact, it's a little plastic rice bowl that her church did, my home church did, probably 30 years ago. And it was a Lenten project for them also, and it was to fight world hunger. But you kept it on your dining room table, and you just put coins in it. And I've still got a little bit of her money left in there. But I think a visual reminder to put extra money that you have aside is important, so that it doesn't just slip your mind and, I forgot to do it, and I'll do it later, that kind of thing. I think it's important to have something to motivate you to do so. I know there are some, for people who are retired and are in latter years when it comes to finances, IRAs, retirement plans, those type of things. I can't advise on that. I certainly can't, because I'm not a business person. But Lisa works for a wealth management and financial planner corporation here in the Inlet, and so you deal with that type of stuff.
We do, and I would just recommend you talk with your accountant or your financial advisor and see what opportunities there are for you to be able to give something in your IRA or whatever distribution that you are required to take that is charitable, which you can give back to Blaine, but they can advise you on that. So it's just an opportunity there. And some more opportunity with the CARES Act of 2020 also exists. But I know most people have a financial assistant or advisor or accountant. So I urge you to talk with them and see if that's something that you're able to do. And it's an opportunity there to give back to Blaine in that way.
And I know we've had people give property or leave stuff in their wills and so forth. And so that's a great way to leave a legacy even. Some people think, I'll be gone and forgotten, but not if you leave something to the church. That will serve people for years to come. And so I would, again, just be creative in your thinking about how you can step up and support the church through your finances that you aren't necessarily in need of. So, any questions?
Yeah.
That I can answer.
Yeah, actually, there's been quite a few interesting questions and comments. There seems to be a strange amount of people who also like to go to the dump and to recycle. So you're not alone. A good amount of people have also mentioned that they like to do that, or their significant other does as well.
And we always usually do see.
We do run into quite a few Blaine members.
Church members there too.
That's funny. Another question, which I think you actually already answered, was someone asked about advice to people younger about how to consistently give over the years, and I honestly thought that your the rice bowl. I mean, just something visual. I mean, being a younger person, I think that's just something like that. That's so great. You know, that's such a great piece of advice. Just to have something in front of you that you can see. That rice bowl is actually a really good idea. Like you said, it's to fight world hunger. Hunger kind of reminds you every time you see it. And then here's one that might be a little challenging for you, but I think you can get this one. So you mentioned earlier about when you went to the administrator side of things, and one of the questions was, you know, what were some of the new things that you learned that maybe struck you the most from that side?
I think the biggest thing, the thing that made the most greatest impression on me was the assistance that we give to people, whether they're in our church or out in our community. People come in, needing help with utilities. Maybe they need gas money, or they can't afford medicine or whatever. And that's our missions and outreach side does that. But I was just overwhelmed when people would come in, and some of them would really touch you with their stories. They would cry and they would hug me. And particularly when it was a man, that made quite an impression on me. And the congregation doesn't really get to see that. We do the barbecue, and we do the golf tournament that's coming up a week from today, next Monday. Those type things that go to our missions and outreach. And people just don't know how you are the hands and feet of God through what you give to Blaine, and how that filters out. And it's just really, really, I wish we could share more of those stories with you. And some of them are really just heart-wrenching. But it's a very structured program. It's, people don't just come in and we give them money and we keep databases on who's been in and who's been helped and so forth. So we make sure that system is not abused. But I think it's one of the best missions that the church does to people that most people will never see.
That's true.
And Blaine has a reputation for helping people.
I've learned that too. Just as someone new in the area, when I tell people I work at Blaine, a lot of people mention that to me. They say, "Oh, that church does a lot of good around here." I've heard that in many different ways. Let's see. I have one other question that I just got. Have you seen an increase in community assistance during COVID?
Well, since I'm not on that side anymore, I really
true.
can't answer that. But we do have a COVID fund, designated monies that are used for people that are affected by COVID. So we have prepared for that. So I can't really say if there's been an increase because of that, but we are certainly willing to help on that end, so forth. And I had a thought, trying to be creative. I know, because we've been together for 30 plus years, and in this house for 20 years, and we have closets and attics and garages full of stuff that every week we say we're going to have a yard sale. We're going to have a yard sale. And it's stuff that we don't need, stuff that we don't use. And, that might be, particularly at our stage in life, people that are at our stage in life, have a yard sale for the church. That could be your step up. That the money you raise at that yard sale might be your step up for 2021.
That's a good idea. I think we should do that.
I think we should.
Yeah.
We'll get right on that.
That is a good idea. So many of us have so much stuff in our house that
that we don't use.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I just had a baby, and I can see the stuff just from a 1-year-old. I can't imagine a whole life of kids.
Yeah. Facebook Marketplace is wonderful.
Yes, it is. Yeah, just a lot of really good comments. People loving the music, and using this opportunity to tell you how creative it is and how great you are.
Well, thank you. It has been quite a challenge, and a lot of smoke and mirrors. You're a little behind the scenes with us, but I don't know from one week to the next what's going to happen, but we try to mix it up. But it's very hard not having a choir, not just from what they add to worship, but from being with them and feeding off of them. And that's I get renewal from them. You know, Wednesday nights choir practice energizes me, and to not have that has been quite the struggle. But it is what it is. No need to complain about it. Just make the best of it, and brighter days ahead.
Definitely.
Yeah, we all hope, right?
We hope.
Well, you know, is there anything else that you guys want to say before we go?
No, I am thankful for all the members of Blaine. A lot of people give and don't want to be recognized for it, for what they do. I'll have people come up to me, you know, very regularly after a worship service and say, "What does the choir need? You know, what do you need? How can I help?" And I remember one instance, someone, you know, we want to do, a husband and wife, we want to do something for the choir. And, you know, I never know how to respond because, you know, a nice new 7-foot Yamaha grand piano would be wonderful. But, you know, most people aren't able to do that. And I said, you know what we really need? We need a table. We need a folding table. And that was a very small thing to them, but it's a very big thing to the choir because we put food on it every Sunday. And that's the food table. And it has made the biggest impact. You know, something that they went to Walmart and got for $20 or $30 is something that has served us well. And so the little things make a big impression, and we appreciate that. But what I would like to say, as far as this Be Renewed, hopefully, if you haven't gotten, you're going to get a packet in the mail with a generosity toolbox. It has some great information on it. It lets you know where the money goes and how much we're trying to raise. Accompanied by a commitment card that's going to be turned in this Sunday. Please, if you don't have one of these in the next few days, let us know. We want to get one in your hands. And if you're in worship, you'll have the opportunity to turn it in at the end of worship Sunday, or you can mail it in if you're not at in-person worship. But it's got a great chart on it, a generosity chart for giving, how to step up, tithing, 10%, where you may fall in a tithing chart. But I would challenge everyone, if you're giving nothing, or if you're giving numbers I can't imagine, to step it up by 2% in 2021. And get creative. You can get creative, like I said, the yard sale or a payment that you're no longer having to make. Maybe you could continue to make it, just make it to the church. But if everybody gives just a little, you have no idea what a major impact that has. And it's everybody coming together as a church to make all these things happen.
That's very true. And thank you so much for doing this. And you know, wow, you guys are pros. We covered so much. So thank you everyone for your comments. A lot of funny comments. A lot of compliments.
I can't wait to read them.
A lot of compliments. And I think this whole kind of behind the scenes in people's houses, getting to know everyone has been a real breath of fresh air during these times where we're also unfortunately separated because of COVID and whatnot. So this was a great way to end this series.
Well, I want to thank you because you've given up your nights to do this at everyone's house. Today's your day off, and you're here with us tonight. So
thank you for coming to
thank
join
you,
us
Sean.
tonight.
Thank you
Sean.
guys. Thanks for
And
mentioning
just
that.
please don't show the outtake reel to anyone.
I'll save that in my special folder. All right, guys. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Jim and Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.